Hi everyone, with you is Julia. Welcome to the channel where I talk about the world of money, investments, and finance in simple terms. So, let's get started. 5 years back, I was bringing in a solid income, yet I constantly felt financially strained. My wardrobe overflowed with garments I rarely touched. My storage spaces were crammed with gear I'd used perhaps once or twice, and my savings account seemed to evaporate faster than I could replenish it, despite out-earning many women in my circle. I'd stumbled into the snare that ensnares countless individuals annually. The misconception that salary dictates prosperity, when the reality proves quite different. What remains in your possession matters exponentially more than what flows through your hands. And what stays with you gets determined almost exclusively by your mindset regarding possessions. The typical American home holds upwards of 300,000 individual items. 300,000. That figure isn't exaggerated. And here's the difficult reality nobody wants to acknowledge. The majority of these possessions were acquired with funds that could have been channeled into investments, growing steadily behind the scenes, generating genuine prosperity instead of gathering dust in wardrobes and storage facilities and rental units that demand even more resources to sustain. Living minimally isn't about sacrifice or existing with bare necessities or transforming into someone who spurns all material belongings. It's about purposefulness. It's about ensuring that everything in your possession, everything demanding your financial resources, everything claiming your focus genuinely enhances your existence instead of quietly depleting your prosperity, your hours, and your psychological reserves. Throughout these past 5 years, I've crafted 50 principles that fundamentally transformed my relationship with finances, possessions, and how I allocate both. These aren't concepts I discovered in some publication. They're guidelines I've implemented in my personal journey, modified when they proved ineffective, and polished until they evolved into instinctive patterns that generate wealth without demanding perpetual self-control. You needn't adopt all 50. Select 5 or perhaps 10 that speak to you, and genuinely commit to them. That alone will position you beyond 90% of individuals who absorb material like this and implement absolutely nothing. Let me share the principles that revolutionized everything. Principle number 1 involves the 2-day approach, and it pertains to any pattern you're establishing, particularly financial behaviors. The concept is straightforward. Never allow 2 consecutive lapses. If you're attempting to monitor your expenditures daily, missing 1 day is acceptable. Circumstances arise. However, don't permit that single day to transform into 2 days, then 3 days, then an entire month of tracking nothing whatsoever. The identical principle applies to investing, financial planning, reviewing your statements, whatever monetary behavior you're cultivating. 1 lapse represents humanity. 2 lapses signal the start of abandonment. Principle number 2 involves the nighttime restoration. Each evening before retiring, dedicate 5 minutes to restoring your physical environment. Dishes into the washer, belongings returned to their designated spots, countertops cleared. This appears unrelated to finances, until you understand that disorganized environments generate disorganized thinking, and disorganized minds trigger impulsive monetary choices. When you awaken to disorder, you begin the day anxious, and anxious individuals spend resources attempting to feel improved. A 5-minute restoration prevents this pattern before it initiates. Principle number 3 is the 80-20 assessment. Studies repeatedly demonstrate that individuals utilize approximately 20% of their belongings 80% of the time. The remaining 80% simply exists there, symbolizing resources already expended and impossible to reclaim. Examine your residence through this perspective. Recognize the 20% you genuinely use consistently. Everything else qualifies for elimination and serves as education about future purchasing decisions. Every item you contribute or sell represents a previous financial error you can extract wisdom from. Principle number 4 is the 2020 guideline for elimination choices. If you can substitute something for less than $20 within 20 minutes, simply release it. Cease retaining backup possessions and precautionary acquisitions that you might require eventually. The psychological expense of storing, arranging, and contemplating all those belongings surpasses the substitution expense by enormous margins. This guideline makes elimination choices immediate rather than torturous. Principle number 5 involves the contribution container system. Maintain a container somewhere in your residence continuously. As you navigate your daily existence and discover items you no longer utilize or require, deposit them in the container instantly instead of returning them. Monthly, contribute the container without examining inside. This establishes a perpetual movement of belongings exiting your residence, which means a perpetual reminder of previous spending errors, which means fewer subsequent spending errors. Principle number 6 involves investing in experiences rather than possessions. Studies from Cornell University and similar institutions repeatedly demonstrate that experiences generate more enduring satisfaction than material acquisitions. The satisfaction from acquiring a new possession diminishes rapidly as you acclimate to owning it. This phenomenon is termed hedonic adaptation. But recollections from experiences genuinely become more precious over time, as you remember them warmly and disregard the minor difficulties. Redirect your discretionary expenditures toward exploration, education, connections, and pursuits rather than objects. Principle number 7 is the residence guideline. Everything in your possession should maintain a specific location where it belongs. When possessions lack residences, they accumulate on surfaces, floors, furniture, and seating. Visual disorder generates mental disorder. Mental disorder generates choice exhaustion. Choice exhaustion produces inferior financial selections. The connection appears indirect until you recognize how numerous impulse acquisitions occur because someone was mentally depleted from managing disorder throughout the day. Principle number 8 involves automation rather than willpower. Automate every financial pattern that should occur consistently. Payment obligations, investment allocations, savings movements, subscription oversight. Willpower represents a limited resource that diminishes throughout the day. Every choice you must make regarding finances is a choice that could become problematic when you're exhausted, anxious, or emotional. Automation eliminates the potential for failure by eliminating the choice completely. Principle number 9 involves understanding opportunity expense viscerally, not merely intellectually. Every occasion you consent to expending resources on something, you're declining everything else those resources could have transformed into. That $60 meal isn't merely $60. It's also the $150 those resources would have expanded into throughout 20 years if invested. It's the liberty that accompanies having more financial cushioning. It's the possibilities that accompany having more resources. Condition yourself to perceive both aspects of every spending choice, the apparent acquisition and the invisible opportunity expense. Principle number 10 involves scheduled inaccessibility. Designate specific periods when you're entirely unreachable. No device, no alerts, no disruptions. During these intervals, you can perform concentrated work, contemplate clearly, or simply exist without input. This matters financially because most impulse expenditures occur when we're distracted, restless, or seeking excitement. Scheduled concentration periods reduce the aimless browsing that produces aimless purchasing. Principle number 11 involves single tasking for everything, including financial choices. Attempting multiple tasks simultaneously reduces mental performance by up to 40%. According to studies from Stanford and comparable institutions, when you attempt to manage your finances while performing 3 other activities, you make inferior choices. Designate dedicated periods for financial tasks, examining accounts, planning acquisitions, assessing investments, and do nothing else during that period. Principle number 12 involves engineering your surroundings to reduce choice exhaustion. We make thousands of choices daily, and each one diminishes our mental reserves slightly. By day's end, we're making inferior choices simply because we're depleted from choosing all day. Minimize trivial choices wherever feasible. Wear comparable clothing. Consume comparable meals. Maintain comparable routines. Preserve your decision-making capacity for choices that genuinely matter, like how to distribute your resources. Principle number 13 involves recognizing and conquering sunk expense bias. Simply because you expended resources on something doesn't mean you should continue using it, wearing it, or storing it. The resources are already gone regardless of your actions with the item. Retaining possessions you don't use because you paid for them simply adds continuing expenses, storage capacity, mental burden, visual disorder to the original loss. Release what doesn't serve you regardless of its historical expense. Principle number 14 involves the one in, one out approach. When you acquire something new, eliminate something existing. This maintains a constant possession count and forces intentionality about acquisitions. You can't thoughtlessly accumulate if every addition requires a subtraction. This guideline works exceptionally well for clothing, books, kitchen implements, and electronics. Principle number 15 involves avoiding storage facility rentals entirely. Storage facilities represent paying resources monthly to house possessions you don't utilize sufficiently to maintain in your actual residence. It's essentially paying twice for belongings, once to acquire them, then perpetually to store them. If something deserves storage expense, it deserves residing in your home. If it doesn't deserve residing in your home, it doesn't deserve owning. Eliminate everything currently in storage except genuine season-specific equipment or documented family treasures. Principle number 16 involves waiting intervals before significant acquisitions. When you desire something substantial, wait 30 days before purchasing. Add it to a list with the current date. If after 30 days you still desire it, continue. But you'll discover that most desires evaporate given time. The waiting interval allows emotional intensity to diminish and rational assessment to emerge. This single practice probably saves more resources than any other principle on this list. Principle number 17 involves the genuine expense calculation for subscriptions. That $10 monthly subscription doesn't cost $10. It costs $120 annually, or $1,200 across 10 years. Small recurring expenses seem insignificant monthly, but represent enormous sums over time. Review every subscription quarterly. Eliminate anything you're not actively utilizing. Principle number 18 involves recognizing that time represents your most precious asset. Resources can be regenerated. Time cannot. Every possession you own demands time. Time to acquire it, maintain it, clean it, organize it, contemplate it, eventually dispose of it. Before acquiring anything, calculate not just the financial expense, but the time expense. Is this possession worth the cumulative hours it will demand throughout its existence in your life? Principle number 19 involves implementing the container approach for everything. Your possessions should fit within defined containers. Clothes in the closet space available. Books on existing shelves. Kitchen implements in existing drawers. When containers overflow, that's your signal to eliminate, not to acquire more containers. The containers establish natural boundaries that prevent unlimited accumulation. Principle number 20 involves questioning every acquisition with the fundamental question: does this enhance my existence in a meaningful way? Not does it seem appealing, not is it discounted, not do others possess it. Does it genuinely add substantial value to your daily existence? If you can't articulate a clear affirmative response, don't acquire it. Principle number 21 involves understanding that minimalism appears different for everyone. A musician requires instruments. An artist requires materials. A parent requires children's necessities. Don't compare your minimalism to someone else's. The objective isn't owning the fewest possessions. It's owning the appropriate possessions for your actual existence. Principle number 22 involves the photograph approach for sentimental items. If something holds purely sentimental significance but serves no practical function, photograph it comprehensively, then release the physical item. You preserve the memory without the storage burden. This works remarkably well for children's artwork, old letters, graduation materials, and similar memory-laden items that occupy considerable space. Principle number 23 involves recognizing that gifts don't obligate retention. Someone giving you something doesn't mean you must keep it eternally. The gift's value was in the giving, not the physical object. If a gift doesn't enhance your existence, express gratitude, then release it to someone who will genuinely appreciate it. Principle number 24 involves the utility test for specialized equipment. Before acquiring anything specialized, rent it first or borrow it. That bread maker or pressure washer or camping gear might seem essential until you realize you'll utilize it twice annually. Specialized equipment that sits unused represents wasted resources and wasted space. Rent when needed or acquire only after confirmed repeated usage. Principle number 25 involves understanding that bargains aren't bargains if you don't require the item. 50% off something you don't need is still 100% wasted. Clearance sales, promotional events, and special offers create artificial urgency that bypasses rational assessment. The finest bargain is not spending resources at all. Principle number 26 involves the 24-hour guideline for minor acquisitions. For anything under $50, wait 24 hours before purchasing. Add it to your device's notes with the date. If tomorrow you still desire it, proceed. But you'll discover most minor impulse acquisitions lose appeal given minimal time for reflection. This simple pause saves hundreds or thousands annually on accumulated small purchases. Principle number 27 involves recognizing that possessions demand maintenance. Everything you own requires some form of maintenance. Clothing requires laundering. Vehicles require servicing. Electronics require updating. Plants require watering. Before acquiring anything, Factor in not just acquisition expense, but ongoing maintenance expense in time and resources. Principle number 28 involves the identity release. Stop defining yourself by your possessions. You're not your vehicle, your wardrobe, your residence, or your accessories. These are simply tools you utilize. When you release identity attachment to possessions, releasing the actual possessions becomes infinitely easier. Principle number 29 involves recognizing that most features go unutilized. That sophisticated coffee maker with 15 functions will probably be used for basic coffee. That advanced software with hundreds of features will probably utilize 5. That multi-purpose tool will probably serve one purpose. Pay for what you'll genuinely utilize, not every feature theoretically available. Principle number 30 involves the regular purging schedule. Schedule quarterly decluttering sessions. Mark them on your calendar like appointments. During these sessions, systematically examine each area of your residence and eliminate what no longer serves you. Regular scheduled purging prevents gradual accumulation that becomes overwhelming. Principle number 31 involves avoiding bulk acquisitions unless absolutely certain. Bulk purchasing saves resources only if you'll genuinely utilize everything before expiration or obsolescence. That enormous container of something you might utilize eventually usually results in waste. Acquire in reasonable quantities based on demonstrated consumption patterns. Principle number 32 involves the true desire versus manufactured desire recognition. Marketing exists to generate desire for things you don't naturally want. Learn to distinguish between genuine needs and desires versus manufactured wants implanted by advertising. Ask yourself whether you'd want this item if you'd never encountered any marketing for it. Principle number 33 involves recognizing that experiences don't require expensive. The finest experiences in life, meaningful conversations, nature exploration, creative pursuits, quality time with loved ones, typically cost minimal or nothing. Reserve expensive experiences for genuinely extraordinary opportunities rather than routine entertainment. Principle number 34 involves establishing clear work boundaries. When work infiltrates all hours, you're more inclined to expend resources on convenience, stress alleviation, and rewards for tolerating the disorder. Clear work boundaries generate mental space that reduces compensatory spending and permits better financial choices. Principle number 35 involves conducting regular digital decluttering sessions. Your digital existence affects your physical expenditures. Organize your documents. Clean your desktop. Delete unused applications. Unsubscribe from emails. Clear your downloads folder. Digital disorder generates mental disorder, and mental disorder produces inferior financial choices. Principle number 36 involves disabling almost all notifications. Every notification represents an interruption designed by someone else to capture your attention. Most of these attention captures eventually produce spending opportunities, whether directly through advertisements and offers, or indirectly through the stress and distraction they generate. Disable everything except genuine emergencies from individuals who genuinely matter. Principle number 37 involves using the 2-minute guideline for small tasks. If something requires less than 2 minutes, accomplish it immediately. This prevents the accumulation of small tasks that generate mental burden and stress. Stressed individuals expend more resources. Reducing background stress reduces spending. Principle number 38 involves ignoring minimalist gatekeeping about item quantities. Some individuals claim you're only genuinely minimalist if you own fewer than 100 items, or 50 items, or whatever arbitrary number. Disregard this completely. Living minimally isn't about achieving a specific quantity. It's about eliminating what doesn't add value so you can better appreciate what does. Focus on function, not fashion. Principle number 39 involves the 90-90 guideline for decluttering choices. If you haven't utilized something in the previous 90 days and don't anticipate utilizing it in the forthcoming 90 days, you can safely eliminate it from your existence. This provides a clear decision framework that functions for most possessions. Principle number 40 involves choosing quality over quantity deliberately. Acquiring one excellent item that endures 10 years is almost always more economical than acquiring 5 mediocre items that each endure 2 years. The initial price is higher, but the total expense over time is lower. This applies to clothing, appliances, furnishings, tools, and almost everything else. Acquire less, acquire better. Principle number 41 involves maintaining a capsule wardrobe. Limit yourself to a small number of versatile, high-quality clothing items that all coordinate together. This eliminates the nothing-to-wear dilemma, despite having closets overflowing with clothes, reduces decision fatigue every morning, and dramatically reduces clothing expenditures over time. Principle number 42 involves meal planning as a financial strategy. Determine what you'll consume for the week before visiting the grocery store. Acquire only what you require for those meals. This eliminates food waste, reduces impulse acquisitions at the store, and reduces the expensive fallback of ordering delivery when you don't know what to prepare. Principle number 43 involves recognizing lifestyle expansion and fighting it actively. As income rises, spending tends to rise automatically to correspond. This explains why high earners often maintain minimal savings. They simply expend at higher levels. Deliberately maintain your lifestyle below your income by increasing savings rates whenever income increases. Lifestyle expansion is the adversary of wealth building. Principle number 44 involves saving windfalls completely. When unexpected resources arrive, tax refunds, bonuses, gifts, inheritance, save or invest 100% of it. These resources were never part of your regular budget, so you won't miss spending them. Windfall saving is one of the fastest methods to build wealth because it's essentially painless. Principle number 45 involves understanding that comparison is the thief of financial satisfaction. Other individuals' spending is irrelevant to your financial situation. Their income, expenses, objectives, and constraints differ from yours. Comparing your financial progress to others produces either complacency, if you seem ahead, or despair, if you seem behind. Focus exclusively on whether you're making progress relative to your own previous self. Principle number 46 involves tracking net worth monthly, not income. Income is a vanity metric. Net worth, assets minus liabilities, is the metric that genuinely measures wealth. Someone earning $60,000 who invests consistently will eventually be wealthier than someone earning $200,000 who expends everything. Track what matters. Principle number 47 involves calculating the true ownership expense for major acquisitions. A vehicle doesn't cost its sticker price. It costs the sticker price plus insurance, fuel, maintenance, parking, registration, depreciation, and opportunity expense on the invested capital. A residence doesn't cost the purchase price. It costs the purchase price plus interest, taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities, and furnishings. Always calculate full ownership expense, not just acquisition expense. Principle number 48 involves treating your health as your highest return investment. Medical expenses bankrupt more Americans than any other cause. Preventive health, exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress management costs relatively little, but reduces lifetime healthcare expenses dramatically. Every dollar invested in staying healthy pays returns far surpassing any financial investment. Principle number 49 involves being protective about your financial foundation. You cannot help others effectively from a position of financial weakness. Build your own stability first, then expand your generosity. On an aircraft, you secure your own oxygen mask before assisting others. The identical principle applies to finances. Principle number 50 involves remembering that minimalism is ultimately about freedom, not restriction. Every dollar you don't expend on possessions you don't require is a dollar that purchases freedom. Freedom from debt, freedom from financial stress, freedom to leave jobs you despise, freedom to embrace risks on opportunities you love, freedom to help individuals who need it, freedom to exist according to your own values rather than the consumption patterns society imposes on you. These 50 principles represent years of refinement and thousands of small experiments in my personal journey. Some of them will resonate immediately. Others might seem extreme or unnecessary for your situation. The point isn't to follow all 50 rigidly. It's to discover the guidelines that work for your specific circumstances and implement them consistently over time. Wealth isn't built through a single dramatic action. It's built through thousands of small choices made slightly better than average, compounded over years and decades. Every occasion you pause before an acquisition, resist an upgrade, choose experience over possessions, or question whether something genuinely adds value to your existence, you're casting another vote for financial freedom. The woman you are 5 years from now will be shaped largely by the habits you built today. The principles that seem small and insignificant in the moment are exactly the principles that create massive outcomes over time. Start with one principle, master it until it's automatic, then add another, then another. The compound effect applies to habits just like it applies to resources. Small changes, consistently applied, create results that appear like magic from the outside, but are actually just mathematics. You don't need to overhaul your